What's going on, Guardians? It's Tizzle here, and in this video I want to go over basically just all my favorite legendary weapons throughout the history of the franchise. I've talked about how I'm moving on from Destiny, so I just thought this would be a fun video to make to just kind of take a trip down memory lane and talk about some of the weapons that I absolutely loved. So some of these, unfortunately, I have had to delete for vault space, so I'm more or less just going to talk about them. So I had a Duke MK44, and this one was quite interesting because you could actually get different sights. I believe I had Outlaw Rampage, and I think you could also get Outlaw Kill Clip on this thing. And anyways, you could 2-tap with the Duke, and it was so much fun. And the other hand cannon that I sadly had to delete, this isn't the right version because I had the old school Austringer from the Menagerie season of Opulence, and I had Subsistence Rampage. And I was back on console at the time, and it was just like the absolute best feeling hand cannon for console. I loved my old Austringer. I believe I had this on it with like some gray shader. It just looked beautiful. Absolutely love Austringer. One of my favorite weapons all time to use for a hand cannon in PvE. And then another one that I have to show from collections was the Lonesome. I had a full auto kill clip version of Lonesome back from the Gambit Prime days, Season of the Drifter. And yeah, again, I was on console at the time, and that thing had crazy range. It was a 260. It hit really hard, and then when you got kill clip going, it was just crazy. I don't think the reload speed was 1 because I don't remember it being that horrible, but yeah, I just loved it. So now I've got some other weapons that I pulled from collections because it's easier to show you from here than from collections. We've got Origin Story. This was from Red War. This was pretty much the main weapon I used back in the days of the Leviathan raid. I would either use this or I would use right here, Nameless Midnight. I had so many kills on my old school Nameless Midnight. This was before like kill trackers and stuff. I used Nameless Midnight constantly. It had explosive payload, which is like a pseudo damage buff. And yeah, Flared Magwell is still like my favorite excuse me, sorry, magazine perk for PvE. And yeah, I absolutely just loved this thing. I don't even remember which. I think I ran Red Dot Micro. That sounds right. Yeah, the sights on it were good. It was just an awesome feeling. It's a 180 RPM, so a precision frame. So I don't even know if it was like good back in that sandbox, but it felt great and it got the job done. And then when I was beating Leviathan Raid, I then got Ghost Primus, which I really liked for an auto rifle, and I would use quite often. And then Midnight Coup. This was super popular in the first year of Destiny. And yeah, I absolutely love this thing. Obviously, I have some newer Midnight Coups from Into the Light. But yeah, those were some of my favorites. Bygones. Again, this isn't the OG Bygones that I have or had. This is a newer one. Again, I think I had full auto trigger system, and then maybe just something like Rampage, but I just loved Bygones. It was a great feeling weapon. And then my old school spare rations I actually have kept. Snapshot, Rangefinder, Ricochet rounds, Hammer Forged. Everyone wanted basically something like this, but with range masterwork. This thing used to hit at some crazy distances. So yeah, the old school spare rations, super awesome. So these were some of my old school kinetics. And then we of course had Uriel's Gift. This was pretty much everyone's go-to in the early days of PvP. It was excellent, unless you were a hand cannon guy, but I was not. I sucked in the early days. So I just crutched Uriel's Gift. High cal rounds made you flinch a lot. It was just a really good auto. Then I sucked at Trials of the Nine. I never went flawless in it, but I did get enough wins one time to get a Prosecutor, and I absolutely loved Prosecutor, so that became my new auto rifle. Mananan. So this was like this was a 200 RPM. I think realistically it probably was a little better than Nameless Midnight, even though I use Nameless more. But I just remember for Manananan, I crutched on this the first time I beat the Whisper mission, and I think I even used it in the Whisper mission to solo it. I never solo flawlessed it, but I did solo it back in the day, and I do remember using Manananan. This thing, still to this day, is a super good feeling scout rifle. Only 28 range, but honestly, it doesn't matter. I guess you can go up to... This was cool back in the day when you could change the sights. I really like that, but we don't really get that anymore. So yeah, Manananan was awesome. Then Inaugural Address, Outlaw Kill Clip. So having 2 perks was super rare. Only the Leviathan weapons had that. So yeah, just very unique, very powerful. This thing was super strong. I remember getting my first We Ran Out of Medals with Inaugural Address, Outlaw Kill Clip. I remember doing comp. I would actually kind of crutch this weapon on my way to get this guy here, Luna's Howl. I remember this is basically what forced me to get good at PvP. I was not naturally good at PvP, but I struggled and I learned and I grinded in comp, and finally I got Luna's. And yeah, then I was using this a bunch to try to grind for Not Forgotten, which I eventually got. But yeah, Luna's Howl was just a monster in PvP back in the day. Then we've got the Ikelos SMG. I have like the version 1.0.1 as well, but the 1.0.2 I've actually hung on to because Subsistence Demo is still kind of rare. You can see I have close to 4,000 kills on it. Don't use it so much anymore, obviously, but it is just a good feeling SMG, and I love Demolitionist. I got rid of my old Drang, but my old Drang was full auto and Rampage, my one from Season of Opulence. I had over 2,000 kills with it in Crucible, and I used it with Revoker on my first weekend ever of Trials of Osiris in Destiny 2, and I went flawless. Shout out Zach and Taylor. We went flawless on Burnout the first weekend it was around, and yeah, I loved Drang on controller. It felt so good, and same with Revoker. So yeah, shout out to Drang. I wish I still had the old one for this video, but I don't. Also the Recluse. I had over 30,000 enemies defeated with my PvE one. I actually kept 2, and then I had a PvP one so I wouldn't have to change the trackers all the time. In my PvP one, I had over 3,000 kills. I love just running Mountaintop Recluse and just going to town in PvP. It was a monster in PvP, just such a fun weapon. Absolutely loved it. So yeah, those are like my old school, like kind of year 1 weapons. And I also had Pally over here. This one's a bit newer one, but you can see it doesn't have an origin trait. But yeah, I've got over 5,000 kills on it. Subsistence 1 for all. So I talked about Ostringer with Subsistence Rampage. This is basically a better version of that. Hand cannons hit so hard that, yeah, you never really have to reload this thing. I absolutely love my Pally. It's better than the palindromes that are coming back that are Arc, in my opinion. So yeah, very glad I hung on to this one. And yeah, now I will pull some other weapons over after I delete these because I am like out of vault space. I'll show you. Yeah, 696. So I'm having to like transfer everything over to my other characters, and yeah, but I do want to make this video, so on to the next weapons. Alright, so in year 1, it was a double primary system, so you could only run like primaries, and then trace rifles also used primary ammo, and then you had a heavy. So Alone as a God, when it released, was actually a heavy weapon, but when it switched to, and I remember even using it just in PvP when I picked up heavy and it felt good, but then when it switched to special, this was one of my favorite PvP loadouts. Either the Last Dance with Moving Target or Last Hope with Zen Moment. These things felt incredible on controller. And then Alone as a God to this day, I believe, has some of the highest aim assist at 79. It's a 140 RPM sniper rifle. And yeah, this thing, snapshot sights, it just feels sticky. It's got a nice big scope. So yeah, I wanted to shout it out, as well as Last Dance and Last Hope. And then also talk about a few old school heavy weapons. So one was It Stared Back, Relentless Strikes, and Whirlwind. This thing is still really strong. You can see its impact is 64. Like, this thing is actually still good with this roll. You would use it on the dogs in the Leviathan raid. I can't remember the name of that encounter, but yeah, basically the Pleasure Gardens, I believe. And anyways, this thing was awesome with old school Striker Titan pulse nades. It would damage the hell out of them. So you threw, I think you got 2 pulse nades on that top or bottom tree, I can't remember. And then yeah, you would use It Stared Back, or you could use Sins of the Past from the Leviathan raid. And if you didn't have that, you would use Curtain Call from Vanguard Strikes. These were really good because of cluster bombs, and you could do auto reloading stuff behind a rally barricade. So yeah, you would basically just fire off your rockets at the robot of Callus. And yeah, that was the old school, like, meta for Leviathan raid. Sins of the past, and it stared back, but you had to beat the raid to get those, but then they basically became best in slot. So yeah, I just wanted to talk about those weapons as well. Alright, so sticking with primary weapons, first up I have this Aisha's Care Adept with Slice and Hatchling with Flared Magwell, which I love. I was so stoked when I got this roll. Slice is really underrated. You can use it to spread a bunch of Sever, which really helps in GMs. And then Hatchling, again, is just really nice for GMs because it's just a bit of extra supplemental damage. So I absolutely love this thing. Midnight Coup, I actually got a shiny version with Firefly and One for All, so obviously I love this thing. And then Flared Magwell and Hammerforged, I love this weapon, it feels amazing. Fatebringer, this one's time lost, it's old school. It's not the new one since they brought an origin trait back, got 5,000 kills. Osmosis with Firefly or Explosive Payload Firefly. Only thing I would change is I wish this was Frenzy, and ideally this would be Flared Magwell. But Osmosis, I used to love this with my Sunbracers build because I could extend Restoration. I would check out a Sunbracer Grenade, obviously, so then this would turn it to Solar, and then I could get kills with this weapon and keep Restoration and Radiant going. So a lot of utility. This Adept Imminence, I love Enlightened Action Chaos Reshaped, but it also has Hatchling. I think I might be able to actually change these perks, so maybe I should go do that. But either way, just the rolls on this is really good. It's a great feeling SMG, so I really like this one. Hung Jury SR4 Adept. Shoot to Loot Kinetic Tremors, a great roll. Subsistence Kinetic Tremors as well. Again, just a really strong utility roll. I've always loved Hung Jury from D1, one of my most used weapons. Obviously, I didn't make one of these videos like this in D1, but if I had, Hung Jury definitely would have been on there. I know I don't have a ton of kills with it, but yeah, just Hung Jury in general. I love the weapon. I also have an Explosive Payload one somewhere. Seventh Seraph Carbine, Reconstruction Frenzy. I hate reloading, so Reconstruction's great. Even on a primary, I don't mind this. And then Frenzy, this is really good for like anti-barrier auto because you have tons of ammo in your mag because it overfills, even though Reconstruction's been nerfed. And then Frenzy. So yeah, just it's an auto rifle that I just like to use. Breachlight. I have a few Breachlights, but this seems to be my go-to. This is the one I like to use the most. Pugilist and Swashbuckler. It works great ever since the final shape when Prismatic came in because I put way more value onto strength now, so being able to get my melees back is huge. And this thing, obviously when you get a melee kill, you're doing 33% more damage with Swashbuckler, so it just feels really, really strong. The Prophet, Demolitionist Precision Instrument. I wish it had Headstone, but other than that, this is pretty much a perfect roll. I like rolling with Precision Instrument. It feels great in endgame content. I love it with my Cadmus Ridge Landscap build. And I haven't really used Accrued Redemption, but this is pretty much the best bow in the game, given that it can get Kinetic Tremors. So yeah, really good. Igneous Hammer. These are all Trials kills, and I don't even play that much Trials, but this thing just feels great to me. Encore, Eye of the Storm. I probably should run Armor Piercing. I know I have switched it to Armor Piercing, but I think when I do my dim loadout, it always defaults to Appended Mag, but I don't really mind the increased mag size either. Either way, this thing is sticky as hell. Yeah, it's great for team shooting and trials. I love this thing. Zowli's Bane, probably my favorite energy hand cannon, 8,200 kills. Explosive Payload, One for All, makes it hit like an exotic hand cannon, like Sunshot, but it's not. It's a legendary. It pairs great with Solar for extending Radiant and Restoration with Ember of Empyrean. It's also Harrowed, which I love because it's kind of like a trophy. So yeah, I was very happy to get a god roll of this. Actually, holy cow, I never even really realized I can enhance it. Oh, right, but it costs spoils. That's probably why I haven't enhanced it, because it costs spoils. But I probably should, because I do love this weapon. VS Pyroelectric Propellant. Jolting Feedback is probably the best primary perk in the game, so I love it. And then I also have Attrition Orbs, which is really, really good for various reasons. More supers, more ability energy when you pick up the orbs. It's got great pairing with Jolting Feedback, as you want to just be laying on the trigger. So yeah, this thing, absolute monster. Vantage Point, same thing. This is my eddy current roll. I have 1100 kills, but I do have a deconstruct roll that I will probably use more. I do love eddy current as well, but yeah, either way, as long as you have jolting feedback, this thing is an absolute beast. Unworthy, I've talked about it in my recent... So I was using a different Firefly Frenzy one, but this one had slightly better other perks. So I just switched to it. I basically just got this weapon. So yeah, that's why I haven't masterworked it or anything. But yeah, I used a different version of Firefly Frenzy already. You get crazy reload speed when you have Frenzy going, and you get a precision kill for Firefly. Just a great feeling scout rifle. It's a 260, but it's got so much control compared to other 260s. I just adore it. Rosarago 4, Rewind Rounds Onslaught. So I did have a Subsistence Onslaught one, but I realized in endgame content, Rewind Rounds is better, and I mostly do endgame content. In a perfect world, I would have kept both, but because of vault restrictions, I just didn't really have space, so I kind of made a choice, and Rewind's Onslaught is the way I go. This thing feels amazing. One of the best auto rifles in the game. I love it. Just got this Exalted Truth. I also have one with Destabilizing Rounds and One for All, so each kind of plays a different role, but this Withering Gaze Demoralize I love. Withering Gaze on a primary is extremely strong, especially in Episode Heresy. Why I love it so much is you can weaken something even on Arc, which has no intrinsic way to weaken stuff, unless you ran like Tractor Cannon. So yeah, you can just ADS for a minute, then pop something like Geomeg's Chaos Reach, and you're doing 15% more damage. So this just has so much utility to me, which is why I love it. Again, I'm a big utility guy, so very happy I got this roll. The old Callus mini tool with Threat Detector Incandescent, very good roll. Used it in lots of like day one raids and stuff. Elsie's rifle with Repulsor Brace Destabilizing Rounds. Destabilizing Rounds just got a really big buff. And then Repulsor Brace, Void Overshield's got a buff. Both after like I acquired this, because I got this back and Into the Light. So I'm glad I hung on to this because it's very, very good. And then we have the Parabellum. Again, I know this isn't even leveled up, but just the utility this provides with Heal Clip and Frenzy. You get a fast reload and Heal Clip. So yeah, it's very strong. And then, yeah, onto some heavy weapons. The Slammer with Eager Edge, Cold Steel, Swordmaster's Guard, Jagged Edge. Or I could get increased ammo as well, which a lot of people use for, yeah, like speedrunning, because they're just using it for utility with Eager Edge. So this is basically a perfect roll. I love this thing. Again, so much utility because it can slow, which will allow you to deal with overloads. And if you hit them a few times, it will freeze. So then you can deal with unstoppables. Hammerhead, I love this 4x Desperate Measures roll. It's really easy to proc Desperate Measures with ability-based builds, especially something like Void Warlock. You can just get a grenade kill. Now you have volatile rounds. Plus you've got 4x the charm, which makes this thing amazing for ammo return. So yeah, this Hammerhead is absolutely awesome. And then you have the old classic of Rampage and Killing Tally. I even have my old school Hammerhead, which I used to love, Shield, Disorient, and Rampage. So shout out to that one. Again, a Falling Guillotine with Eager Edge and Frenzy. I love Falling Guillotine. This is the one I got back in Season of Arrivals. Relentless Strike, Whirlwind with Surrounded, and Swordmaster's Guard and Jagged Edge. This thing I used to use so much with Witherhoard. Probably one of my favorite metas in the game, the old Witherhoard Falling Guillotine combo, because I love both those weapons. So yeah, glad I hung on to this one. Still a great weapon. I use it in day one Salvation's Edge because of the Relentless Strike, Whirlwind. And Relentless was actually disabled during contest, but we still used it on the second encounter, the first boss there, and it worked amazingly. So still holds up after all this time. Edge Transit with Envious and Bait and Switch. I don't have spike nades, but I have mini frags. Just a great grenade launcher that I've used in lots of GMs. Again, I'm loving Withering Gaze. It's so good. This one has Fluted Barrel, Handling Masterwork, and Frenzy with accelerated coils. So you're never going to get a roll that can apply Withering Gaze faster than this one. So yeah, I just really like this weapon. Even though I haven't used it, I know if I were like into GMs this season and soloing GMs, this would be a staple in my loadouts. So I did want to give it a shout out. But yeah, as I've talked about in some videos, I'm just kind of burnt out on Destiny, just kind of over it, ready to move on. But I do know that this weapon would have carried me through some GMs. I still may guild my Conqueror this season, but I'll probably just do it in fire teams. I might solo Insight Terminus because I believe it's there, and I just like soloing that one. Like, I'll still play content that I want to play, but I have no desire to do Nether or just any of this time-gated, recycled slop type stuff. Like, oh, we're back on the Dreadnought, but it's not even as good as the Dreadnought used to be. So, yeah, anyways, I want to keep this video a little more positive, but I did just want to talk about, yeah, I know some of these have like 0 defeats, but I still like the weapon. Spike grenades, envious bait and switch. This is the one that Banshee sold. It's a monster. It was great last season. And then this is the one I got as a random drop. Spike grenades, cascade point, bait and switch. Very, very good for, yeah, just ammo dumping and dealing huge damage. Some of the best burst DPS in the game. So yeah, big shout out to it. And I still have a few more primaries and stuff I want to talk about. I just have to transfer them over. Alright, real quick, I have 2 other primaries to talk about. One is Heliocentric QSC. I have Demo Frenzy, but I also have a Heal Clip, Kill Clip one. You can get Heal Clip Incandescent, so this thing just gets some crazy rolls. So if you need some easy healing, Heal Clip. And then if you want utility, like Demo and Frenzy together is like 2 of my favorite perks. And then I got very lucky. I played just a bit of Trials trying to get that Exalted Truth that I got, the Withering Gaze one. And then, so I turned in some tokens at Shaxx, and I was lucky enough on my very first one to get a Joxer's Longsword with Withering Gaze. I didn't even care what the other one was, but it was Enlightened Action. Again, Withering Gaze just has so much utility for stuff like Arc, and Arc is feeling excellent this episode. Both Arc Titan and Arc Warlock just feel amazing. So being able to apply Weaken from a primary is just going to give so much utility to that subclass. So yeah, I love any primary with Withering Gaze. So, and it's a 324 heavy burst, which I talked about Aisha's Care. I love it. So even though I haven't even fired this weapon, I know it would have been one of my favorites just because of the utility it provides and the archetype it is. Yeah, and I got Reload Speed Masterwork, which I quite like. So yeah, very excited about this role, to be honest. Alright, so I missed a couple primaries. So firstly, we have Unloved. I use this thing to solo the Sunder Doctrine dungeon with Elemental Honing, except my old one had Heating Up, and Killing Wind is slightly better. Maybe one day I'll get Hatchling with Elemental Honing. That would be my god roll. But yeah, Killing Wind was a little better, plus Flared Magwell and Hammerforged. So I deleted the Heating Up one, but either way, this thing with Elemental Honing feels awesome. And then also Warden's Law Adept. Again, I had to delete my old one, which had Enlightened Action Vorpal, just because this one was slightly better because it rolled 4th times and Enlightened Action with Vorpal, with Flared Magwell and Tac Mag, and Fluted Barrel. This is basically like my perfect god roll, so that's why I don't have as many kills on it. But this with Lucky Pants in the Lucky Pants heyday, I absolutely love this thing. And then also the Summoner feels really good. I have like 3 Summoners, but again, I talked about how much I love Subsistence. This is great just in lower end content, just literally kill chaining, never having to let go of the trigger. I talked about Subsistence Onslaught on Rosarago. This is basically the Subsistence version that I had deleted, so I kept it around on the Summoner. So yeah, really love this. It's great for me because I do lots of solo stuff, so Alacrity or Wildcard is really good. So now let's get into some specials. Tinashe's Mastery is one of my favorite specials in the game. I was so pumped when I got this. I know they gave out a god roll for free if you didn't play Iron Banner, but I grinded Iron Banner on stream for days. Got this right around the time of my 2nd reset, so that wasn't too bad. Air Trigger gives increased reserves and really fast reload speed. High Explosive Ordnance also gives more reserves, and then you've got Chill Clip, so it can deal with overloads and unstops. And this season there's Anti-Barrier Sidearm, so it can do all 3. So this thing, literally one of the best utility weapons in the game. Rocket Sidearms, even despite their nerf, still feels great. So yeah, I love this thing. A lot of people really like these. I haven't used it too much, but Envious Arsenal with Chill Clip and Spike Grenades is really good for damage rotations. So it's got a place. And then if I just want Disorienting Grenades and Chill Clip, I still keep this Lingering Dread. Again, I had a different one, but this one had slightly better other stats, so I deleted the old one. That's why this one's only got 19 defeats. Even though you really don't use this to defeat very many things, you're using it as utility to kind of blind things and then slow them or freeze them. So yeah, I really love Lingering Dread. Lost Signal. You all know how good it is at building Transcendence. Autoloading Vorpal. 2800 defeats actually shocks me because I'm usually just like dumping this on high health targets to just do some damage over time and build Transcendence. But yeah, just again, a wonderful utility weapon. This is my go-to Mountaintop, Impulse Amplifier, and Vorpal. I do have an Impulse Frenzy one as well, which would actually technically be better for like red bars and stuff, but I just like the consistency of Vorpal weapon because I'm usually using this with like Mountaintop Anarchy. I use this in our Day 1 Vespers Host clear on the Corrupted Puppeteer. I've used it for so much. It's just an excellent weapon. Love it so much. Loved old school Mountaintop. Love the new version. So yeah, Riptide with autoloading Chill Clip. Close to 1500 kills, which again doesn't sound like a lot, but I'm mostly using this as utility. So this thing is just awesome. I guess I should show it's like my god roll because it's got accelerated coils and charge time masterwork, so it can shoot like, again, I'm not using this for damage, I'm using it for utility, and it's great for utility. Rake Angle, I know in my god roll guide I talked about replenishing Aegis, and I do have a roll with that, but I've actually come to prefer the overflow roll because you just get more chill clip shots. So yeah, this Rake Angle, again, just awesome. And then Supremacy with Rewind and Kinetic Tremors is just really, really good, especially this season with Anti-Barrier Sniper Rifle. Then you've got the VS Velocity Baton with Attrition Orbs. I wish I had Demo, but I never got that roll. But at the end of the day, you just want one of these with Attrition Orbs. It's literally a game-changing weapon with the amount that it can print orbs, so it's just so good. This Glacioclasm, I'd kept it around for a long time, never really used it until this season, but again, I've talked about how good Withering Gaze is, and then Air Trigger as well for fast reloads and deeper reserves. Used this on my solo Sundered Doctrine Flawless clear, and it's just awesome. Exceptionally good this season with Particle Reconstruction, so yeah, just very, very good weapon. Indebted Kindness, I've used this so much. Lead from Gold, Volt Shot. Yeah, not much else to say. I was lucky I got this pretty early on after Warlords dropped, just because I've never really farmed dungeons. I just enjoy playing dungeons and the drops just come. But yeah, this thing is awesome. Non-denouement, I have 2 of the Adept versions, whatever they're called from that raid. But and they do have Volt Shot. Like I have a Dragonfly Volt Shot, which is amazing, but Impulse Amplifier Volt Shot just feels amazing on this thing, so I crafted this one. One of the best primaries in the game for sure. Bows hit really hard, and then getting Volt Shot on it is just incredible. But yeah, Dragonfly is also great on it. Just, yeah, I have 3 of these bows, 2 of the Adept versions, and then my crafted version. I love that weapon. Wilderflight, autoloading Vorpal, Disorient for the utility, or Spike Nades for the damage rotation. So this thing is a monster. Cartesian Coordinate, Lead from Gold, Vorpal. Again, not many kills because the Gunsmith actually sold this one. I had a different one that was very similar before, but this was Accelerated Coils, Charge Time Masterwork, or Liquid Coils if you wanted more damage, and then Lead from Gold Vorpal. So this was like a perfect roll, so I knew I loved this weapon, so I got rid of my old one, got this one. It's wonderful. A lot of people run Heal Clip Incandescent, and I do have one of those rolls, but I've come to like this one more, again, because of Transcendence. Prismatic. It's just so good for getting your abilities back, so this thing is a monster, and Rocket Sidearms are still great. Demo Frenzy, Nezaric's Whisper, pretty much my perfect glaive. I love the adaptive glaives, they feel awesome. You get like 22% grenade energy back from Demolitionist, and then Frenzy allows it to hit harder, reload faster, but if you're getting enough kills, you're just going to get a grenade, so you can just chuck a grenade to reload. It's just so good. And then Impulse Amplifier Frenzy, this was like my first love, over 13,000 kills. I took to glaives right away, and this was the only glaive in the game at Witch Queen launch when they came out. We also had Suppressing Glaive on the Artifact, and my Hunter and Void 3.0 had just come out, so my Hunter was just using Suppressing Glaive, constantly going invis with Stylus Executioner, and yeah, I just became a glaive main basically from day 1. Yeah, I don't have any more kills on any glaives more than this one. Like, this thing's just awesome. I love it so much. And yeah, let's talk about some more heavy weapons now. I've got 3 Apex Predators. the reconstruction bait and switch that I crafted, but then I also had, while I was farming them, a reconstruction explosive light drop and a reconstruction bipod drop, and I used them all. I have over 1,000 kills on all of them. Actually, I'd be surprised. Oh yeah, I'm surprised I have so many kills on this one because I feel like I mostly use it for boss damage, but either way, these are great. The old school Wendigo I forgot to talk about, only heavy in the game with disorienting grenades as far as I know. Auto-loading and explosive light. This thing was a monster back then. It's a monster now. It doesn't hit as hard because of the disorienting grenades, but I remember using this to solo flawless prophecy, which was like my second or third solo flawless dungeon ever. And I was using it to blind the knights in the cube room. And then I would take out the hobgoblins and stuff. And then, yeah, when those knights were on the ground, I would just blind them. I had a risk runner on so I could survive the acolyte eyes and stuff. And again, this is why back in the day, like, I became big on utility, because it allowed me to use risk runner. And then I was able to, yeah, just mow through the ads on the ground, not have to worry about the knights shooting me. And yeah, Wendigo, just an awesome option. Cataclysmic. What sucks is I got the same roll on an adept version, but it didn't have enhanced battery, so I deleted it, and then it came that your adept versions, you could actually like masterwork them or whatever, or craft them, and you can change these perks. So had I kept that one, I could have used that, and then I could have used adept charge time, which would have been nice. But such is life. I still got the god roll. I never crafted one ever because I got this god roll, and I was more proud to just have this base version and be like, yeah, I got the god roll, didn't have to craft it type thing. But yeah, this I used on day one King's Fall, and we took down Oryx with it. I used it in a lot. I think I used it. No, I wouldn't have used it for day one Vow, but we used it in like Master Vow and things like that. Like, it's just a wonderful weapon. It sounds so good. The sound design on it, some of the best in the game. Just love it. Hullabaloo I used on Rainix with Envious Assassin 1 for all, but then I also like my auto-loading chain reaction for just mowing down enemies. So yeah, both are really, really cool and good. Bequest we used on Crota, highest impact sword in the game, and then you've got Relentless Strike Surrounded. So in the right situations, nothing is better. And God, how sexy is it with the Twilight Keepsake? Just one of the best looking weapons in the game. I love swords. Yeah, that's just a goated one. Song of Your Ute with reconstruction, bait and switch, just an excellent machine gun. Fixed odds with field prep incandescent. I've used that a ton, 16,000 kills. Love this thing. And yeah, so now I just have a few more specials to talk about. Alright, I guess I had a few more specials than I thought, but let's start with a heavy. To round out the heavies, you've got the reconstruction killing tally commemoration. 7,300 kills. This thing is a monster. Again, I know reconstruction's been nerfed, but this roll is still absolutely excellent for ad clear. Then when we go to the top slot, slice and controlled burst on scatter signal. Again, a lot of people go with overflow, but I like the utility of slice, and then controlled burst feels great on this thing. Really, really strong fusion rifle. I love it. Already talked about lost signal. Critical anomaly. Chill clip, chaos reshaped. I had just a random drop of Chill Clip Chaos Reshaped, and it became like my favorite sniper shortly after Final Shape. And then I farmed for an adept version, and yeah, this thing is just an absolute monster. Again, great utility. I also have Quick Draw Snapshot, which is cool. Fluted Barrel, like yeah, this thing is just so good. I love it. I'll talk about these ones at the end. Dustrock Blues. Slide Shot, Rampage, almost 4,000 kills. This is back when I played Crucible way more. Like Luna's Howl, Dustrock Blues was pretty much my go-to. Absolutely love this shotgun. So much fun. Glad I kept, hung on to it. Perfect Paradox. Field Prep 1-2 Punch. I actually have a ton of Perfect Paradoxes. And I even had the old school ones back that dropped in like Season of the Dawn with Trench Barrel. And Unstoppable Shotgun came out like shortly after Beyond Light when the Lost Sectors came out, and I was using my Trench Barrel one to farm the Maze Lost Sector on the Cosmodrome. And anyways, I just have always loved Perfect Paradox. It's just such a cool weapon. Season of the Dawn was great, so yeah, just absolutely love Perfect Paradox. Fractithist, This is from whatever season this was. I can never remember the name of it. But quick draw, opening shot, accurize, full choke. Unfortunately, didn't get the masterwork I wanted. But yeah, this shotgun is one of my go-tos in Crucible with Igneous Hammer. So yeah, just a very, very good and solid shotgun. Then we have Salvager's Salvo. So this was the last of the good. They went from pinnacle weapons to ritual weapons. And when they went to rituals, this one was still and is very strong. So demo chain reaction, demo Vorpal. So it can be good in like boss damage rotations as well, or ad clear. So yeah, this thing is just an excellent grenade launcher. I threw Omniscient Eye in here because of 4th times Vorpal. Again, if I was still playing more, I know I would love this thing because I loved Ikelos Sniper Rifle with 4th times Focus Fury, but Vorpal is just more consistent, especially for like anti-barrier sniper. So basically it's Ikelos Sniper Rifle, but slightly more consistent. And yeah, I just like consistency. So Omniscient Eye, it also feels really, really good. I had it drop, but I do have the crafting pattern, but because I had it drop, I probably won't craft it. Ikelos Shotgun, Grave Robber 1-2 Punch. That's kind of what most people use on this for the 1-2 punch utility. So yeah, Ikelos Shotgun and Ikelos Sniper. I remember grinding the hell out of Escalation Protocol back in Warmind to get these to drop. This one had Trench Barrel back then, and it was basically the strongest heavy in the game. And yeah, I was so pumped when I finally got it. And then the Sniper Rifle is what took me the longest to get to drop. I remember doing like 60 plus runs of bosses of Escalation Protocol, and I finally got it. I'm throwing 7 Seraph CQC in here because I've always loved this shotgun. Auto-loading, Trench Barrel, like I love auto-loading holster. Trench Barrel is really strong, and then Assault Mag. So to this day, this thing holds up as a very strong shotgun. And I have a quick draw Vorpal one as well that I have over 1,200 Crucible kills with. So yeah, just a very good feeling shotgun. It's a lightweight frame, just feels awesome. Dead weight with autoloading Vorpal. Again, I love autoloading holster. And yeah, Vorpal weapon is just very consistent. So I really like this shotgun. Oh, there it is. My quick draw Vorpal 7 Seraph CQC. Not even the best roll, but it just feels good and consistent, and I really like it. Marty's Retribution, I had one way back in the day. I wish I still had it with autoloading demo. But yeah, demo strategist, again, I talked about utility, and this will allow you to get your abilities back very quickly. So I like that roll a lot. And then yeah, I want to talk about Forbearance Adept. So I farmed until I got the God roll with Ambitious Assassin and Chain Reaction on an Adept one so that I could run Adept Reload. So we have 100 reload speed, 100 velocity, like quick launch, high velocity rounds. This is like my perfect roll. Ambitious is actually better than Surplus because Surplus doesn't have a scaler. It just maxes out your handling and reload, and my reload's already maxed. So yeah, Ambitious Assassin, Chain Reaction. It's not as strong as it once was, but when this thing came out, it quickly became my favorite special weapon with 6,500 kills. So yeah, I absolutely love this thing. And then yeah, I'm really excited to kind of round out this list with these 2 weapons. So Succession with Reconstruction Vorpal. My old one, I had this roll, but with Appended Mag. So you could still have 4 in the magazine, but Appended, when you put backup mag on, does not allow you to go to 5, but it didn't matter back then because you always ran major spec or boss spec, never backup mag. So I always just kept that roll around instead of crafting it, even after I had the pattern, because it was like, well, Reconstruction's still only going to go to 8 because I'm running major spec. But when they changed the mods, then I did have to craft one with extended mag so that I could get 10 in the magazine with Reconstruction instead of only 8. So it was worth crafting. So unfortunately, I deleted my old school God roll. But what was interesting about that God roll was I got it in like the first 2 weeks after Deepstone Crypt being out. And I was like very new to content creation at the time. So I didn't like make a video on it or anything, which I should have. But I was like, holy crap, like this gun is so good. And it's funny because like Beyond Light, I still use this roll on the Succession to this day. So back in the Beyond Light days, that was like a super, super powerful weapon. And like I said, it's still awesome to this day. I love Succession. I also had a Snapshot, maybe Opening Shot or Snapshot Moving Target. I think it was Snapshot Moving Target. And I was still sort of between like controller and console and PC during Beyond Light. Like I owned the expansion for both because that's when I was transitioning to PC and content creation and stuff. So when I would play on controller, that big fat reticle on Succession just felt so good. So it was great in PvP, it was excellent in PvE. One of my all-time favorite weapons in the franchise is this sniper right here. And then with Heritage, the reason I wanted to save it is because same thing, I did get the God roll, where with this one with backup mag and assault mag, basically one assault mag on this one, so it didn't make it worth it to craft this one. So even though I would get the origin trait, which is a pretty strong origin trait, dealing damage regenerates a small amount of ability energy, I still just like this as a trophy. It's like, no, I got fluted barrel, handling masterwork, assault mag, reconstruction, recombination as my random drop. It looks sexy as hell with this bloody tooth shader. Yeah, this has gotten me through so much content over the years. Reconstruction, recombination is just awesome. Just whip it out on a high health target and deal a ton of damage. The double swap meta with, what's that slug shotgun? I'm gonna look it up. I can't think of the name of it. It's from Season of Arrivals. Oh my gosh. Oh no, there it is. First in, last out with auto-loading Vorpal. So you'd pair first in, last out with Heritage and Anarchy and do the double slug swap. We did that on day 1 Vault of Glass on Templar. So yeah, this Heritage, it's been with me. Again, I got really lucky. I got these 2 weapons very early on after Deepstone Crypt dropped, and to this day, I use these weapons. Like, there's very few weapons in the franchise that I've used in endgame content more than these 2 weapons. So like I said, I thought it would be kind of cool to finish with those. Like I said, they still hold up to this day. They're awesome. I love Forbearance. I love Critical Anomaly. It's kind of taken the place a little bit of Succession, but it's like these 2 weapons are just always a staple, always strong. So anyways, I just thought it would be really cool to take a trip down memory lane and talk about some of my favorite legendaries over the years. I'm also going to do one on all my favorite exotic armor pieces and all my favorite exotic weapons, probably over the next couple days. So look out for those. If you liked this video, leave it a like and subscribe for more. Or don't, because like I said, I'm kind of moving on from Destiny. So if Destiny's your jam, I'll have videos for another couple weeks, but then I'm moving to Monster Hunter. So yeah, only subscribe if you want to, or unsubscribe since I'm moving on. Feels a little weird to to finish with that kind of outro, but it's just the truth. But yeah, I just thought it'd be fun to take a trip down memory lane, talk about my favorite weapons. I'm really excited to talk about my favorite exotic armor pieces and exotics as well. So like I said, keep your eye on the feed for those. Because if you like this type of video, because it is just me rambling about my favorite stuff, but like I said, it's kind of the end of an era for me, so I did want to just talk about, yeah, all the favorite weapons that I've liked using over the years. So comment down below what your favorite weapons in the franchise are and why. I really do like reading that kind of stuff, because yeah, it's just fun to see why people gravitate towards certain things like I do. Like I said, a lot of these weapons all have a story, and they've been there for a certain era of Destiny for me. And yeah, anyways, I'm rambling like I do, so I'm going to end it here. But if you're still here, thanks for watching to the end, and I'll catch you in the next one. Take care. Hey, if you're still here, then thanks so much for watching to the end. If you like what I do and you want to support me further, then consider becoming a channel member. You'll get your name featured on the end screen, custom badges, and other cool rewards. You can also join my community Discord if that interests you, and if you want to see me stream, be sure to follow me on Twitch at itstizzle7 where I stream semi-regularly. Those are linked in the description. Anyways, that's enough self-promotion. Thanks for watching. Take care.